Hey, welcoming you Gooshbagz to the Week 7 and the Halloween edition of the 2020 Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast. I am your host, of course, even though you may not recognize me, but I am the commissioner of the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League and the reigning champ, of course. I didn't wear my weekly reigning champ t-shirt because I figured the commissioner t-shirt was better with this detective's uniform. So it's going to be a great week because I also have Marshmallow on with me this week, aka Branden Metzler. Branden, how you doing today?
Good. How about yourself, Jason?
I'm doing well. Man, that's really tripping me up. I don't know where to look on your costume. I guess I'll look in between the eyes.
That's fine. I mean, you can't really tell, but I can barely see through this, but it's gonna work. Hopefully.
That's okay. I like it. I enjoy that you're in the Halloween spirit. So Halloween is in 2 days. We're on this call a day late than normal, which is fine. We're accommodating for schedules. We're all good. It's just a not important football game tonight. So we're all good to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
This game is not very important. A very terrible team versus another terrible team in the NFC South.
Exactly.
So hopefully not a lot of points are scored. So.
Yeah, I mean, there might be, to be honest. There's a few fantasy relevant players. We got a couple of wide receivers on Carolina there that people want to play probably. And Teddy Bridgewater might be a good fill-in this week against Atlanta's D. But and then obviously everybody on Atlanta you're starting against Carolina. So there might be some fantasy relevance going on. But as far as quality football being played, we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, let's hope not, but we'll see.
But all right, we'll talk about the injuries that went on this week in the NFL. We have OBJ is the big one, and unfortunately, you are just being plagued by more injuries, more and more injuries. We have OBJ with a torn ACL, so he is out for the season. I think that's right. Right? Is it an ACL?
Yes, he is out. He is out for the rest of the season, so it's very unfortunate that I have three top 3-round players out. So we're just surviving and advancing every week,
Right, you've been doing decent despite that, mainly because you're filling running backs, but we'll get onto that a little bit later.
Yes.
Devonta Freeman was another big injury this week. I mean, he could potentially play this week, but he's not practicing yet. He had an ankle injury in last week's game. I don't know if you watched the Cowboys game, but Andy Dalton got hit by a pretty dirty hit this week.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's going to play. It doesn't sound like he's going to be playing. So, just a lot of, fantasy irrelevance on the Cowboys end. They're just getting hit with QB issues one after another, and it's just kind of quite unfortunate.
Yeah. Andy Dalton was a decent fill-in. But yeah, I'm not sure. We'll see how the Cowboys go forward with this. But
yeah, they were just a high-octane offense, and Dak was leading the charge. And once Dak left, it was just all downhill. I think it's just going to get worse from here on out.
Yeah, it really sucks. But I don't know. Hopefully, Andy Dalton can get back in, and we'll have some decent fantasy production. But we'll have to see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll hope.
Yeah, but we have Deontay Johnson, who this shouldn't be a big injury, but he just came back from another one from a previous injury, and now he's got a bruised ankle. But I think he had a full practice today, so he should be good. We have Jeff Wilson. This is kind of a big one because the 49ers running backs just keep getting hurt. So Jeff Wilson got a high ankle sprain here. Go ahead.
But they might get the Tevin Coleman back. I was just doing some research, and Tevin might be getting off of IR soon. So hopefully he comes back. But that whole running back, that whole San Francisco team is just
it's been brutal.
Losing Bosa. Yeah. It's quite unfortunate. Just that running back position is just a weak spot in their end. So
yeah,
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think they did activate Tevin Coleman, but he's got like 3 weeks now before they decide whether or not he can play, or so he could come back in anytime for the next 3 weeks.
Correct. And so we'll see. He's a good option for them, going forward. I don't think they really trust was it Hasty? Can't remember his name.
Yeah,
First
Jermichael
name, but
Hasty, I think.
yes, correct. And then they also have Jarek McKinnon, but he didn't really get many touches in the
No.
game, which is kind of interesting because once Jeff Wilson went out, he didn't even get any. He got what, maybe -1 yards, and then Hasty just got a lot of the carries. So we'll see how that ends up for this week.
Yeah, for sure. So we also got let's go with a big one. Let's go with Kenyon Drake. So he had some sort of torn ligament in his ankle, and he is out, or a foot or ankle or something.
Yes.
And he's out. He's on the IR, I think. Or no, he's not on the IR, but they were saying it was going to be a multiple week injury. I think they didn't put him on IR because they were playing, they have a bye this week. So I don't think they put him on IR, but.
Correct, and that going forward, Chase Edmonds is going to be a good pickup, and luckily, I have him.
Of course you do.
Yeah, the waiver wire has been my friend for running back situations, so we'll see how that goes. I've just been reading some stuff on Edmonds, and he's been a great contributor both in the backfield and catching. So hopefully he pans out with all my running back issues I've had this whole season.
Yeah, he should get the majority of the work with Kenyon Drake out, so he'll be a good play for sure for the next few weeks once he get through the bye.
Yeah.
Deebo Samuel, who just he started off the season on, I don't know if he was he on IR? I don't know if he was on IR, but he was hurt for a few weeks, and he just came back for a week or two, and now he's out for another couple games with a hamstring injury.
Oh, yeah, that's another offensive weapon
San Francisco.
Yeah, it's just it just sucks for Jimmy G in the gang.
I know. It looks like they had a good offense coming into the year, and then it's just been plagued. Like their whole team, offense and defense, has just been plagued with injuries.
Yeah, it's just crazy. And then and the funny thing is that they're like 4-2 still with all the injuries that they've had on both sides of the ball, and just
it's
somehow
surprising.
Yes, exactly. And I know. I think Shanahan's done a pretty good job with how he's handled with the injuries and stuff. So hopefully they stay relevant.
Yeah, Shanahan's been good, and the defense, like those defensive players, have stepped up and played pretty well without, even though they've been injury prone. And the last one I got here is Chris Carson with some sort of foot injury. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but he's day to day, and he may or may not play this week.
Yeah. So Chris Carson's usually one of those players that's pretty good and run heavy offense, and that just means like Carlos Hyde and some other players are gonna have to step up and hopefully help them out. They just lost a game in Arizona, but we'll see. Hopefully he's healthy.
Yeah, well, Carlos Hyde is also hurt, so I don't know if Carlos Hyde's questionable going in for this week.
Yeah.
And so I think the next man up is this guy named DJ Dallas. So I don't know how good. I've never heard of him before. So we'll see. We'll see what. Seattle doesn't really need the run game this year. They've been pretty hot passing the ball. So if they need somebody down the stretch after they're up by 3 touchdowns, then potentially that could be DJ Dallas. But we'll have to see if Chris Carson's been determined to play through injury this year. So we'll see if he's back for this week.
Yeah. And Russell, I don't think you should take the ball out of Russell's hands. He's playing at an MVP level, and it's just crazy just how efficient he's been, just throwing the ball. And yeah, it's just incredible. So he's just he's one of the best QBs.
Yeah, they finally let him throw. So Pete Carroll has been stubborn until now. So
yeah, just put the ball in your best player's hands. You can't just let. Yeah. So. We'll see. I think that offense is going to be pretty lethal down the stretch as well. So it doesn't really matter if they don't have a running back or not. So.
Oh, for sure. So onwards to the top scorer of the week this week. It was Ryo with 158.94 points. He put up some monster numbers this week. So congratulations. I sent you the $10, I think, already. Let me know if I didn't, but I'm pretty sure I did. So yeah, congratulations. And we will move onward. Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, Ryo's team is pretty, dangerous, and going forward, just don't want to see him in the playoffs.
For sure not. Yeah, don't want to meet him until the championship, or maybe he gets knocked out in an unlucky week or something. But yeah, he's got a solid team. So
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt that he's got Alvin Kamara leading the way with 30 fantasy points every week. So that's basically a solid floor for your team.
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't hurt. It does not hurt
Yeah.
at all.
So we'll move on to our matchups this week. We got me and you, Feast Mode versus, I put Team IR, even though you switched it after this week. But the Running Mayfields, as it was last week, and the Running Mayfields took down Feast Mode 133.62 to 85.32. Now that was a rough week for me. So I mean, we'll just start it off with that. We'll go into my duds. So I'm gonna start with the big dud, Cam Newton. My quarterback got negative 0.18 points. He had 3 picks and he threw for like almost 100 yards or something and didn't run the ball. He just had a rough game, and that offense does not look good right now. So I'm really terrified.
I think Belichick's pressing the panic button on their season right now, and he's probably gonna. Hopefully, I don't know. Cam still has a job, but he's on the hot seat right now, and he could possibly lose it sooner or later if he keeps playing like this.
Yeah, I mean they replaced him with Stidham in like the end of the third quarter or something. So we'll see. We'll see if he. I mean they announced Cam as the starter for this week, so we'll see how it goes going forward. But you're right. He could be in the hot seat, possibly losing his job. But my other dud was. Sorry, go ahead.
No, my bad. It's just weird that he just that offense. He could have been that mobile quarterback that they needed, but they just can't seem to move the ball very well, and the defense is not that great, and their running backs have been all injured or just not producing to their potential, So
yeah, it's been rough for sure. But my other dud was DJ Chark with 3.1 fantasy points. So that was just it's kind of tough to know what's going on in Jacksonville. And apparently, actually, Gardner Minshew they just found out that he has like a broken thumb, and he's had one for like the past 3 weeks or something, but nobody knew. So he might be out. After.
It's kind of tough to throw the ball when your thumb is broken.
That's true. So DJ Chark is going to be sitting on my bench for a little bit, and we'll see how that goes. But my studs, I had James Robinson. He's been a beast, 29.7 fantasy points. He's been wonderful. He's been the only bright spot on the Jaguars team. So
he's been the steal of the draft in most drafts. He's usually went in the 10th, 15th round or even undrafted, and so having a guy that's producing at least 15 to 20 points a week in that kind of draft position is just a great thing for you going forward. As for next year, you get to keep your boy James pretty cheap.
Oh yeah, no, I got him in the 13th round this year, so I'll get him. Yeah, I'm assuming he'll be like a top 2 or 3, like round 2 or 3 probably running back next year, or if not 1. So hopefully I'll get him in the 7th or 8th round. That'd be pretty dope. But I have to put Adam. I'm sorry, Adam, but I got to put you on blast today. So today he sent a text to me, and he was like, "All right, I've got a trade idea," and he's like, "It involves flip-flopping our bye-week running backs." So he offered me David Johnson and Alexander Madison for James Robinson.
No.
He did.
My gosh, Adam. Well, you'll be hearing this later. That is the worst trade of all time. I don't think we're that dumb to trade pennies for $100 bills,
Yeah, I mean, I knew he was trying, like he was thinking that maybe James Robinson could potentially be undervalued since he was unknown coming into the season. So I can see where he thought like, maybe he's still worth a middling running back position, but like, David Johnson is not anywhere close to James Robinson right now. And like you said, I gave the exact same thing talking about the keeper value. I was like, I got him in the 13th round, man. I'll be able to keep him for super cheap next year for like a top 5 running back potentially. So
Exactly.
I told him that's nowhere close to what I would need to get in order. I wouldn't even trade. I told him I wouldn't even trade him straight up for Zeke right now. I don't think. It's close. Those two are like
It's just
even,
good
so I feel like I wouldn't
Yeah.
trade it.
No way. That's just you just had such a good value, and then you can stack up for other running back positions because your running backs always go down at some point, and the more running backs that you have, it's just really it's like an insurance policy.
Exactly. So I'm sorry, Adam. I had to put you on blast because I thought that trade offer was insane. So maybe it was just the starting point for for future conversations, but um, I just had to let you know. So.
Maybe he's pressing the panic button on his team right now.
Oh, I think he definitely is. No, he's looking for James Robinson because he wanted the value that I have in him. He was looking for next year, I think. So, um, so my last stud that I had on my team this week was Keenan Allen, and he's been a beast since Justin Herbert's been going off. So Keenan Allen got me 17.5 fantasy points this week.
Yeah,
So
Herbert's been balling.
he has been. He's been looking good. So we'll move on to your team now because you have something to brag about here. You had Russell Wilson with 29.92 fantasy points, and we were talking about him. He's been a beast this year.
Yeah, MVP. I call him the early MVP. He's just been balling out. Doesn't throw. Well, he did kind of throw a couple picks, but he's been throwing the ball like crazy, and he's been so efficient and often just mowing people down, except for Arizona. So I've just been lucky with him.
Yeah, for sure. No, I mean, in that Arizona game, that was a strange game, and Arizona played really well against him. So, you had Todd Gurley here with 21.2 fantasy points, and he's been like sneakily solid. Like for the last, I know Neil hates this. I have him in another league, and like he's been consistently like getting those 15 to 20 point games, which is really solid. And then you had a fill in Jamal Williams this week with 19.4 fantasy points, and I cannot believe like you have no idea how pissed I was when I thought I was so smart for picking up AJ Dillon once Aaron Jones was ruled out, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna grab AJ Dillon just because I'm gonna block because I knew you needed running backs, and I was like, I'm gonna block the Packers running backs. I figured Jamal Williams was already taken. I looked, I didn't see him quick. It was a quick glance, and I'm sure he was at the top of the waivers, and I just missed him. But like, I was just like, okay, I got the Packers running back. He's not gonna be able to play him against me. And then I look at your roster, and you picked up Jamal Williams immediately afterwards. I was like, what the heck? Where did he come from? I did not see him at all, and I was so pissed off.
Oh, I lucked out.
Oh.
Man, my running backs this week have been just, my saving grace, and Jamal Williams just filling in for Aaron Jones on a high octane offense, and it just helped out a lot. So, and to go back on the Todd Gurley, if he wouldn't have fallen down in the end zone at the end of the game, it would have not been 21.2 points. It would probably been like 16, but still serviceable. But still, they totally screwed them out of that game. And
Yeah.
it's just like the thing that's been going on in Atlanta the whole season. There's close games by idiot mistakes and just stupid stuff like that.
Yeah, it sucks for the Falcons themselves, but the fantasy owners love Todd Gurley for it.
Oh yeah, I did. I was loving it all day long. I was like,
Sure.
keep running.
That's awesome.
That's too funny.
But we also had AJ Brown in the studs category with 24.3 fantasy points, and I think he had a rough start to the season, or maybe he had one or two games that were good at the beginning, but then
He didn't play any games in the beginning of the season, and then all of a sudden the last 4 games he's been balling out.
Yeah, he's been a beast. So that's been great for you. And that's what that's why I had him last year, and I didn't know if he was going to continue it this year because he's been having he had such low volume, and I just didn't trust him for a keeper. But he's been a beast. So at the expense though of Jonnu Smith, who you also had on your team, and he was a dud this week. he had 1.4 fantasy points. So AJ Brown just stole all the offense from the rest of the team.
Yeah, it kind of helps that they don't have Corey Davis and a couple other pieces, so he's been getting all the targets, and I've been taking advantage of it. So
That's true. Your team's been a beast the last few weeks. And then Mike Evans, are you hitting the panic button? I'm sorry, am Mike Evans yet or what?
yeah, I'm starting to. He hasn't been really producing a lot. If you notice a lot of his numbers,
Oh, I
he's been
know.
very touchdown dependent, and it's very worrisome in an offense that's adding Antonio Brown.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I think that's just going to kill Mike Evans. I think, though, he's going to have a good week 8 here because Chris Godwin is out, it looks like, with a broken finger. But after that, I think his fantasy outlook is not too bright.
No, and that's why I picked up Antonio Brown, which was a sneaky pickup. And the funny thing, yeah, and Neil will hate me for this, is that I was in another league, and someone had already picked him up, and I was so confused, and I was like, did they know something? And I didn't read anything on it, and I was just like, oh, we'll just try it just for fun. And like 15 minutes later, all this news broke out about him going to Seattle or Tampa Bay, and I was like, oh wow, I really snuck out with that one.
Well, I think it was a lot of the speculative ads were because he was suspended for the first 8 games. So, like, I was listening to a couple fantasy podcasts, and they were talking about how, he might be an ad, even though there hadn't been any news about anybody picking him up yet. But, like, they were just saying, like, he might be somebody who comes back and joins a team week 9, and you'll be able to play him after that. So I don't know. I mean, it was a great pickup. We'll see how personally, I think he's just going to destroy the value of everybody except for Tom Brady. And so, like, everybody else is going to be middling wide receivers, and then Tom Brady is just going to be a beast.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When you have, like, five weapons on offense that you could easily have, it's just kind of hard to beat somebody like that,
Oh, for sure.
It's just that offense is
they're going to be good.
Time.
Yeah, they're going to be a force to contend with when it comes to the playoffs. That's for sure. Which is what they were going for. I didn't think that it was going to be, as good as people were hyping them up in the offseason because they got Tom Brady, But I didn't think they were going to be this good. But they're definitely turning it around. So.
Yeah. And that defense is pretty good.
Oh, it's stout for sure.
I think they're like top. Let me see this real quick. I had this pulled up. They're like they're number three on defense and all
fantasy. Yeah.
Yeah. No, in everything.
Really?
Oh,
dang.
They're number 3. It's crazy, and they're like the third lowest in yards per game, and pretty good in the rush, and they don't allow a lot of points either. So, well, they do kind of, but not really. So, they are pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. Say. So, yeah, we'll see how they go going forward, but they're definitely going to be a force to contend with. So, let us move on to matchup number 2. So, I didn't fill in all of James's team name in this because I didn't know. It's getting ridiculous at this point. It's like eat corn, watch some corn in the fields or something, grow in the fields or something crazy like that. So James's team versus Aaron's team, which is my tight end Ertzwin Eifert. So the tight ends ended up taking this one out, or 103.76 to 62.5 points. And this, I think, was just due to some negligence on James's team. He signed in for a long enough time to change his team name, but he didn't see that Aaron Jones was out. So he played Aaron Jones, who got him 0 fantasy points. He played Darius Slayton, who got 3.3 fantasy points. He's been kind of a boomer bust. I don't really trust too many people on the New York Giants team right now.
Yeah, they're too hit or miss for me, and they're just dropping like flies or falling over their feet.
Yeah. I mean, Daniel Jones has been he was fast, but he was too fast for his own good. And then he had Hunter Henry in his tight end slot, who had 3.8 fantasy points. So just a down week for Hunter Henry. We'll see how he goes going forward. But he didn't have any studs. James, you got to check your lineup, my dude. Like, you got to play a full team, or else you're going to get scores like 62.5 fantasy points. So that's all I got to say.
Yeah, it's that was not a pretty game to see. It was very low scoring.
Yeah, for sure. So on Aaron's team, we got the studs. He's got one big stud this week, who's Deshaun Watson with 24.16 fantasy points, and he's picked it up since his rough start. He's been putting up some solid games. So I'm surprised. I mean, the team hasn't been doing well. They're 1-6 now, so they're having a rough time. And people were saying that they're looking to fire sale. I don't know if that's true, but the trade deadline comes up in a couple weeks here, so we'll see if they make any trades.
Yeah, yeah, They're just
they're not looking so hot.
Yeah.
In the duds category for my tight end Ertz, he had Chris Carson with 4.6 points, and that's not really his fault. He got hurt partway through the game. DK Metcalf only had 3.3 points. It was a Tyler Lockett week this week, so DK Metcalf got the short end of the stick. And we got Travis
But he did
Kelce.
have that insane tackle.
Yeah.
He did have that insane tackle in Arizona where he was it like he was like 20 yards behind the other dude and caught up to him and tackled him to save a touchdown.
Yeah, it was something crazy. It was at least 20 yards, and he just there was the pick in the goal or in the end zone or something, and DK Metcalf was like way behind out on this route, and he just like was sprinting down the field to get that tackle. So, man, that was nuts. That was like would have been a game-saving play, but they lost. But it was one of those plays that's just like an insane effort on his part.
Yeah, it's just crazy how a freak athlete he is, and just
how big he is and how fast he is for how big he is.
And he's a beast. He's like I don't know. People compare him to Megatron, but I wouldn't go there that quickly. But he's a freak of nature, and he can catch anything, and he gets the most targets out of all the wideouts in the NFL in the end zone. So he's a big threat.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, it was just a down game for him on the offensive side. I'm sure he'll turn it around next week. And then he had Travis Kelce, who only had 4.6 fantasy points. So that was a little rough as well. And that's just one down week from the tight end position at Travis Kelce. So nothing to be worried about. Yeah. On to matchup number 3, we had Good Juju versus the Breeze Knees. So Good Juju, as we mentioned before, had a monster week this week with 158.94 fantasy points, and he beat the Breeze Knees, who only had 117.86 fantasy points. So Good Juju put up some good numbers with Kyler Murray, had 37.1 fantasy points. He's been a monster. Their offense is finally starting to click, and so this Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins stack is a good stack that he's got going on.
Yeah, you pour on points real quick with them. You get the touchdown from Hopkins and Murray, and then you get the Kyler Murray running. That's a very important thing in a dual quarterback, and he just gets a lot of fantasy points. And I think he's the number 1 fantasy quarterback right now because of that.
He's up there. I don't know if it might be number 1. I guess I'd have to take another look here quick. Let us take a look.
It's either him or Russell.
Yeah. Oh, he is number 1. You're right. He did steal it with that performance. So he is number 1. Yeah, Russ is a close second for sure. I know they were 1 and 2 going into this week, so I should have assumed that Kyler jumped him with that big performance. But he also had Tyler Boyd with 22.24 fantasy points, and he seems to be the wide receiver to own in Cincinnati. Joe Burrow's really looking his way quite a bit. Him and T. Higgins have been doing well, and actually A.J. Green stepped it up the last couple weeks. So the offense in general for Cincinnati has been looking good.
Yeah, they've been just on the ball a little bit more, and I think that it's helping because there was no Mixon this week, that they were able to throw the ball, and they were all benefiting from that in the fantasy perspective.
Yeah, for sure. So I think Tyler Boyd's going to be a solid play for the next or for the rest of the year. So Good Juju just keeps looking better Juju now.
Yeah. And he didn't even have Josh Jacobs starting. That's the crazy thing.
I know. Well, Josh Jacobs has been kind of up and down, but I mean, yeah, I mean he's a solid addition to any lineup. So you'd think that, having him out would definitely be a detriment, but didn't really seem to matter this week.
No, not at all.
So on the Breeze knees, he had a couple of good weeks, including one big week from Tyler Lockett, who scored almost half of Adam's fantasy points this week. He had 45.5 fantasy points, so that's insane. I don't know if I've ever seen a wide receiver in the 40s before.
No, I haven't. I think that if Adam's going to trade people, he should be trading Tyler Lockett and trying to get some additional pieces to balance out his team. Hint, hint, wink, wink.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to give me Tyler Lockett and Zeke, I'll trade you James Robinson.
I think that's fair in my eyes.
Yeah, Zeke's looking bad now that they don't have a good offense. So I think Tyler Lockett might be able to, close up that gap. No, I don't know actually. So
well, and it's not good that they lost 3-25 to Washington.
No. I mean, Washington's defense has been decent, but their offense just sucks. So Dallas, if they can't score any points, their defense obviously can't stop anybody. So they're gonna have a rough time.
Yeah, they're just gonna be always playing from behind, and they're gonna have to throw the ball, which takes Zeke out of the question essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, unless he gets more involved in the passing game, we'll see how Zeke looks going forward. And he also Adam also had Carson Wentz, who put up a big week. He had 27.76 fantasy points. And Carson Wentz has been stepping it up the last few weeks as well, even though he doesn't have anybody. All of his wide receivers and tight ends seem to be getting hurt. But he keeps putting up numbers. So, he's got Travis Fulgham now who's putting up points. He's got, I don't know, nobody else. Who else is on the Eagles catching footballs?
Deshaun's out.
Deshaun Jackson got hurt this week, so.
Ertz is out. Goddard's out.
Alshon Jeffrey's out.
Yeah, that's another team that has a lot of injuries. I don't even know. I don't know any players in the Eagles right now.
Yeah, I don't know. So Travis Fulgham is their one bright spot, somehow making it work with Carson Wentz, but.
Yeah.
In the duds category for Adam, he's got Zeke, like I said, with 5.6 fantasy points, and that's not awful, but you're not looking for 5 points from your running back one, especially one of the top three in the league. We got Chase Claypool with the reemergence of Deontay Johnson. Chase Claypool gets left in the dust with 0.3 fantasy points. I think that was one catch for -2 yards was how he got his 0.3 fantasy points. We also have Robert Tonyan with 4.2 fantasy points. And for some reason, you played Justin Tucker, who had a bye. So he got 0 fantasy points.
Yeah. Tonyan, I don't know. You're a Packers fan. Do you guys like Tonyan that much? Or is he just an opportunistic guy that's been able to just sit in the end zone and just catch passes from Rodgers?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got the trust of Rodgers, but I think most weeks they won't need him. He filled into that one huge week with Davante Adams out. And now that Davante Adams is back, I think that, at least last week, Rodgers was only looking Davante Adams' way. Robert Tonyan, he was okay. I mean, he's definitely a big-bodied receiver who's decently athletic and can, get some red zone looks for sure. So I think he's definitely somebody who you can look for to potentially get a touchdown every week. But other than that, I think he's got a high chance of getting a touchdown, especially with how the Packers' offense is pretty high scoring. So he's got a higher percentage to get a touchdown than most of the other kind of streaming tight ends that are out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah. So that's about where I am with him. I don't think he's somebody that you can necessarily trust every week, but if you need somebody in a week, I think he's got a high opportunity at getting a touchdown. So.
Yeah.
On to matchup number 4, we got Big Ben's bathroom versus Adam and Chad's PT patients. So the little juju that Courts tried to put on Big Ben's bathroom didn't quite work, as Chad's team took him down 116.08 fantasy points to 101.08 fantasy points. So Big Ben's bathroom rode the back of Big Herbert. Justin Herbert with 38.48 fantasy points. So, like we said before, he's been a monster stepping in here since Tyrod Taylor was out. And he kind of took over that position and has been doing great things with it. So,
yeah. Do you consider him the early Rookie of the Year candidate?
he could be. I mean, everybody was thinking Joe Burrow coming into this year, but if he keeps playing like this, he's definitely a candidate, and he'll probably be up there. I think James Robinson will also be up there, in potential. But quarterbacks always tend to get the nod when talking about Rookie of the Year, that sort of stuff. So
yeah, he's only thrown 3 interceptions this year so far, and we're almost about halfway through the season, and he's projected basically to get almost, let's say, like 30 touchdowns and 6 interceptions with about 3,500 yards throwing the ball. That's pretty good.
Oh, that's definitely solid. So, I mean, he's been, like I said, he's been doing great things, and I hope he keeps doing it, because Keenan Allen could really use the points. So, I don't mind him feeding Keenan Allen like he has been. So yeah, they've been looking good. We'll see if the running back position can kind of shore back up. Is Austin Eckler going to be back soon, or have you been looking into it?
No, not. I just I read something on like he was going to be out for like 6 to 8 weeks. So it's not.
How many weeks has it been now? Like 4?
Yeah, it's been a lot. It's been only like 4. Wait, let me see. It's been what is it? We're in week 8. Yeah, we're gonna be 4 weeks only.
Yeah, so there still might be a little bit more time for this Justin Jefferson, Josh Kelly nonsense. Is that the two? Josh Kelly and Justin Jefferson? I think so.
I think Justin Jackson.
Oh yeah, Justin Jackson. You're right. Yeah. I'm getting Jefferson, the guy from Minneapolis, Minnesota. Justin Jefferson mixed up. Yeah. In the duds category for Big Ben's bathroom, we had Devonta Freeman with 0.8 fantasy points, and I think he came out of that game. He got hurt, so that really was unfortunate for them. But I mean, Devonta Freeman has just been kind of a fill-in running back too since he needed him. So I'm not so concerned about losing him, I guess.
No. I mean, just that Wayne Gallman, all those guys, it's just not a great offense to be a part of, and I'm trying to stay away from the Giants' offense, to be honest with you.
Yeah, for sure. So, team number 2 with Courts' team, he had Terry McLaurin at 18.5 fantasy points, which is almost scraping that 19 fantasy point ceiling for the studs category. He's been doing good, even despite his quarterback woes. So, he's gonna be looking good going forward.
Yeah, going back on last year, he was a pretty good wideout. Like for a stretch there, he was like a top 10 wide receiver, and then goes through like a lot of patches of ups and downs, and it's kind of due to the poor quarterbacking play of Haskins and
now Kyle Allen.
Yeah, I don't know why they don't put Alex Smith in there.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they just put him in that one time, but I don't really know if he is in football shape. His legs still might be on the path to recovering. Like, it might not be 100%. Like, he might have been in football, like, good enough to play in a football game, but maybe not 100%,
Yeah.
So maybe he's still got some strengthening to do for that leg. But I'm not quite sure why, maybe they do go to him later in the year.
Yeah, if they're in the playoff hunt, I would definitely go to a veteran for that and try to win some games down the road, because the NFC East is like a toilet bowl.
Right, and that defense is definitely keeping them in games. So,
exactly.
So we'll see. Maybe they do end up putting him in at the end of the year to get some wins. But
Yeah.
in the duds category for Quartz's team, we got Jarek McKinnon with negative 0.1 points. So like we were saying, he didn't really get any sort of work at all this week. So we'll see how that, maybe he gets more work this week since potentially everybody else is out. So Jeff Wilson's out. Tevin Coleman may or may not be playing. Jarek McKinnon might get the workload. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Yeah.
Maybe they'll just go with JaMychal Hasty instead. So
Yeah.
who knows?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think anybody knows.
Yeah. So on to the last matchup of last week, we have Mix and Mac versus the Cooper Troopers. And the Cooper Troopers pulled this one out. They had 124, despite Kenyon Drake getting knocked out of the game this week. So he had 124.12 fantasy points to Mix and Mac's 118.0. So on the Cooper Troopers, we had Aaron Rodgers putting up another big game. The Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams stack. We had 27.32 points from Aaron Rodgers, 38.1 fantasy points from Devontae Adams. And that's just good to see on a game when Devontae Adams coming back from an injury. They're not afraid to go to him like 100 times and get him like 200 yards and 2 touchdowns or something. It's insane. So
I wish the Bears had a wide receiver QB combination like that.
They have. I feel like they have the wide receiver. Like Allen Robinson's been great, but they just don't have the quarterback. So
yeah, I just don't know why we couldn't have picked up like either Cam or Teddy or.
Yeah, who knows? I mean,
Jameis.
Cam Newton might have turned that team around.
Yeah, I mean, and he's so cheap. He's so cheap.
Yeah, he was on a super cheap 1-year deal. So I don't know. I feel like if they had a quarterback, like they could potentially be a championship team. They could get up there.
Yeah, they have a good defense and a abysmal offense, and I think let's just do the poor quarterbacking play.
Yeah, and potentially bad play calling. So, But I think with a better quarterback, it might be easier to make better play calls. So.
Yeah. I hate Nagy. Oh man.
So yeah, unfortunately, the Cooper Troopers had Kenyon Drake playing this week. He had 4.6 fantasy points. He got put in the duds category despite his injury. So it's just unfortunate, but he did pull out the win. And maybe he doesn't have to worry about playing Kenyon Drake for the next few weeks. So he'll be able to confidently play another running back in his wake. Mix and Mac only had the only player of note on Mix and Mac was Chris Godwin, who had 19.3 fantasy points. The rest of this team, like they were decent, but just didn't have like great weeks, or bad weeks. So, like we were saying, he had Giovanni Bernard filled in pretty well with 18.1 fantasy points. Darren Waller had a good week, but nobody else had a really good week. So, and no bad weeks. I mean, his worst player, the Giants D put up 2 fantasy points, but other than that, Cooper Kupp at 8.9. So, just kind of a middling team. Didn't quite have enough points to get the win. So,
yeah, I just think that Neil's team could be a lot. I feel like Neil's team's not bad. It could be more consistent, but I think it's not bad. It's just he's just not getting consistent play every week.
Right. Yeah, and I think he doesn't quite have the depth either. This week he's got Jonathan Taylor, or last week, sorry, he had Jonathan Taylor on a bye. But his running backs filled in to do a decent job. I think he needs some wide receiver depth. Chris Godwin's out now. So, we'll see. Like you said, he's got a decent team. It's just he's got to get some consistent play.
Exactly.
So, on to the waiver wire team that could kick all of our asses. Now, this is a fantastic lineup. Unfortunately, Brandon, you didn't beat him this week. You're the only one in recent memory that I can ever think of that has ever beat the waiver wire. So, congratulations to you. Yeah, this is why I started keeping track of the waiver wires, their record. So. Let's go into this waiver wire team this week. We had Joe Burrow leading the team at the quarterback position with 33.64 points. We had Jeff Wilson in the running back 1 category with 31 fantasy points. We had Carlos Hyde with 15.1 fantasy points, filling in after Chris Carson got hurt. Scotty Miller leads the wide receivers with 19.9 fantasy points. We had Nelson Aguilar with 19.2 fantasy points. Harrison Bryant, who I had never heard of before this week, was in the tight end category with 19.6 points.
Who does he play for?
I think the Falcons, I want to say.
No way. I've never heard of this person.
Let's look him up. Harrison Bryant. It was just like a random week.
Is he from
Cleveland?
No, he might be.
Oh, he filled
Cleveland.
in for he filled in for Njoku, I think.
Or Hooper.
Or Hooper, yeah, I'm sorry. It was Hooper.
Wow, that's
Njoku plays
weird.
for Cincinnati. That's right. Yeah, Hooper was Hooper out this week? No.
I don't think so. Was he? Did not think he was out this week.
Oh yeah, he was. He was hurt. Sideline. Oh yeah, he had an appendectomy. He got his appendix taken out.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's not fun.
No. So yeah, Harrison Bryant filled in for Hooper and had a beastly game. So
wow.
Speaking of beastly, Cole Beasley had a 16.7 fantasy points, and he filled in the flex spot of this waiver wire team. The Chargers defense had 8 fantasy points. That was the best on the waivers this week. And Tyler Bass, kicker for the Buffalo Bills, had 21 fantasy points. So all in all, this team would have gotten you 184.14 fantasy points. And that beat Rio by a good 20 points. So the waivers are 6-1 for this year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Back to Cole Beasley. Cole Beasley is a very underrated wide receiver. If you notice, he hasn't had any games lower than like 10 points, and he's like a wide receiver 2 on the fringe of a wide receiver 2 this whole season.
Yeah, I mean the way that the problem is that Cole Beasley his ceiling is about 16 fantasy points. So like he's been consistent, but like nobody ever wants him on their team because I mean he's a great football receiver. Like teams love to have Cole Beasley as a possession receiver on their team, but like on fantasy teams he just doesn't have any upside. I wonder now though, since John Brown is back, if Cole Beasley is going to be as good because John Brown's been out for like 2 or 3 weeks. So
really, huh?
So I don't know if he'll be as relevant this next week, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, definitely.
On to the matchup predictions. So I didn't have a lot of time to look these over, but this will be fun to look through them. We have the matchup predictions for week number 8. Last week, though, importantly, I beat Chad 3-2. So let's go. I got 3 right. He got 2 right. It all went down to the last matchup, and I got it right. So we will see how it goes this week against Branden. So Branden, how are you feeling?
I'm in the same boat as you. I haven't done a lot of research on this, so this is gonna be a crapshoot here, so we'll see.
Oh yeah. So we'll start with my matchup. We'll do Feast Mode versus the Koopa Troopers. So okay. I always pick myself, so I have myself written in here already, but I want to go through this matchup. I think I got some pretty good matchups this week. I got Ryan Tannehill versus Cincinnati. I got Dalvin Cook versus Green Bay, who Dalvin Cook will be back in full strength. I got Clyde Edwards-Helaire against the Jets, although Frank Gore might be taking some carries, but he had a solid week last week not Frank Gore, I'm sorry, Lev Bell. Lev Bell did not take too many carries. He was kind of the Darrell Henderson role. Or not, no, oh my God, I'm just out of it. Not Darrell Henderson, who's the third down back in Kansas City. Was it? No, it wasn't Darrell.
Are you talking about not St. Louis, the LA Rams, like Akers or Malcolm Brown?
No. I'm talking Kansas City.
Third down back, like Damian Williams?
Oh, he's not playing this year. He elected out due to COVID.
Who is the third down back?
I don't know. Well, he's not there anymore because Lev Bell has taken his role essentially. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, but I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire got plenty of work last week, and he was definitely a solid running back.
Yes.
So I think all in all, I think my team's got great matchups. But so does his team. So it should be a shootout this week. We'll see how it goes. He's got the Aaron Rodgers, Devontae Adams stack against Minnesota, so that's going to be a beast. But I don't think Amari Cooper's going to do so hot with a backup to a backup quarterback in there. Eric Ebron against Baltimore, that's a rough matchup. David Montgomery against New Orleans is a rough matchup. I think I've got this one in the bag.
Based on what I'm seeing, the only opportunity he has is having Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams going for like the same numbers he had last week. And usually, Minnesota's defense is pretty shaky, but also Minnesota plays Green Bay pretty tough usually. So, I really, to be honest with you, based on Julio's been on the uprise, but his running back play is going to let him down, and I think that's the reason why he's going to lose to you this week. So that's my projection.
All right, I like that projection. All right, we'll skip a few. We'll go to your matchup here. We'll go to Team IR versus Adam and Chad's PT patients, or whatever Courts names his team this week.
Yeah.
All right, let me take a look through. You got Russ versus San Francisco, which I'm not too scared of. Todd Gurley against Carolina is a great matchup. Boston Scott against Dallas is a great matchup. Assuming that I think Miles Sanders, they were saying potentially could, I don't know, like potentially. You'll have to look at the news on that. I'm not quite sure. They were saying he practiced maybe in a very limited capacity, or he has potential to practice, or there was some positive news about Miles Sanders recently, I think.
Yep. So possibly starting Darrell Henderson against Miami, which is a good matchup. That's probably gonna be my only option to flex into there. And then Jamal Williams, based on what Aaron Jones does, and it sounds like Aaron Jones is not gonna play again because they're really taking his calf injury seriously. So I'm probably gonna start Jamal Williams against Minnesota, which
I definitely would.
Yeah. So
I mean, so I think it comes down to if Boston Scott and Jamal Williams play and they don't have Miles Sanders and Aaron Jones, I think you've got this one. But if they don't play, well, I don't know. Actually, Courts has got a lot of fill-in players here. DeAndre Swift, Jerick McKinnon, we don't know what he's going to do. Like, he could get a bunch of touches and he could get none.
Also Swift is playing a good Indianapolis front seven as well. So.
And so is Josh Allen, is playing New England's defense, who's been pretty good.
Yeah, he has been pretty good. But he's got Stephon Diggs and DJ Moore, who've been pretty consistent this whole season. But then he also has Carlos Hyde, who's questionable and might not even play. So, I'm gonna go with myself here on this one, just based on my depth and the depth that I have and the options I have to play Henderson, and the fact that probably Jamal Williams will be playing instead of Aaron Jones.
Yeah, I think I've got you as well. I think you got this one this week. He's got some tough matchups. And just kind of a lot of fill-in players. So yeah. I also choose your team. All right, on to matchup number 3. We got Good Juju versus James's team. Each eat corn and watch some corn in cornfield. That's what it is. So, assuming that that Ryo looks at his team and replaces Kyler Murray for Teddy Bridgewater, who plays tonight. So, I don't know. He hasn't replaced the team yet. They play in about 40, 50 minutes here. So, we'll see. It might be a closer matchup if he puts in Teddy Bridgewater.
I think that I think James has got a chance in this one. He's got John Brown coming back. He could put in as a flex for Devin Singletary possibly. But depending on Aaron Jones, it depends on if Aaron Jones plays. Kareem Hunt's probably gonna play. Kareem Hunt's been pretty good since my boy Nick Chubb has been out, and Mahomes against the Jets is a slaughter fest.
Oh yeah. I think I've got James as well. He's got some. Well, I don't know if Aaron Jones doesn't play again. He's got projected to put up 19 points. Can he fill in with anybody? I guess he's got Devin Singletary who he can move up, and then he can put
Ty or
maybe
John
or
Brown.
John Brown. I don't know.
This one's a tough one. And Ryo needs to put in a new kicker too.
Yeah.
Also, it might be coming down to the defense. If Ryo can get the Saints defense to score a couple points, Ryo could win this easily.
That's true. Assuming that Ryo puts in a quarterback, I think I've got Ryo to win this one. Because I don't know how I feel about James's fill-in options for Aaron Jones.
I'm going to go with James here just in case Aaron Jones plays. And if Aaron Jones plays, then he's got a good shot of winning this game because I think that Green Bay is going to be – I think they're going to be up. I think they're going to be running the ball a lot. They like to run the ball, and Aaron Jones is pretty good.
All right, so that's our first difference. We'll see how it turns out. Here.
What's the next one?
Yeah, sorry. The next one is Big Ben's bathroom versus the Breeze Knees. So let's take a look at that. I'll let you go first here.
Okay, let me see. Okay, the Breeze Knees. Okay. So he's got Herbert playing Denver. Denver's Denver's given up about 20 points a game to quarterbacks. They like to throw. LA likes to throw the ball. Let me see. Melvin Gordon, Myles Gaskin. Gaskin has been underrated this season, to be honest.
He's been great. Yeah.
I think that he should be starting Kenny Golladay. Golladay has been absolutely on a tear since coming back, as well as starting Allen Robinson. Allen Robinson is like the key to that team.
Allen Robinson might be hurt.
Oh, he's on concussive protocol, actually.
Yeah. So he was a non-participant this week or on today's practice. So I don't know if he's going to be playing, but I would definitely put in I think he's getting a little too fancy here with T. Higgins. I can understand Travis Fulgham being in. I would play Travis Fulgham over T. Higgins because they just have nobody else, and they're playing against Dallas. So that's a great matchup. I don't think I would play T. Higgins over Kenny Golladay. Even though it's a tough matchup for Kenny Golladay, Kenny Galladay's been a beast.
Yeah. And then Adam's team, he's got a hot Carson Wentz against Dallas, who they're going to score a lot of points against because they can't stop anything.
Oh, yeah.
Zeke is going to probably be a non-factor. Mike Davis will probably be running the ball. If they're up, they're going to be running the ball. He also is he's like the second coming of Christian McCaffrey, but a tad slower and doesn't get as many touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's got Michael Thomas coming back against Chicago, against the second best secondary, probably second or first best. I don't know. My English is terrible here. But then he's got a hot Lockett against San Francisco. Jimmy Graham, who's been pretty consistent this season, actually. Leonard
Hot
Fournette.
Lockett. Wait, do you listen to the footballers?
No.
Oh, that's the fantasy footballers nickname for Tyler Lockett is Hot Lockett.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah.
He's been pretty well, based on.
He's had two big boom games, Tyler Lockett.
Yeah, but he's had that every season, He gets two big boom games and he's like a top 15 wide receiver, and you're going to take those or leave them and whatever. Because besides those two games, he's only had one touchdown and over. Well, he's had some okay games.
Yeah, he's been I think his floor is 5 points this year or so, right around there. So
yeah,
you can take if you have some consistent players on your team, and then you have Tyler Lockett on top of him to put up huge weeks every once in a while to win you weeks. I think that's not a bad strategy.
No, not at all. And then he's got Jimmy Graham, Leonard Fournette. I don't know if I like Leonard Fournette.
He had a
He's
better
just
week than Ronald Jones last week.
yeah, but I think Ronald Jones is the guy they go to. You think?
I think it's a split backfield. I don't know. Like, it kind of sucks that Leonard Fournette's back because it caps both of their upside, I think.
Yeah. And just the fact I think they're using him as like a I don't know. He's a big back. He can just run people down, and he's a bruiser.
Yeah.
Just back in his days in Jacksonville, he's just a solid overall running back, and I think that they need to use him as a three-down back. To be honest with you.
Oh, for sure. So we'll see. I don't know. I guess who do you have winning this week then?
Um. That's a tough one. This one's gonna be up in the air. I think it's gonna be a pretty close one, but I think that um, if I'm gonna say this, if Chad starts Kenny Galladay, he should win this matchup.
Okay. So you're going with Big Ben's bathroom or no?
Yes I am. I'm going with Big Ben's bathroom here.
Me too. I just think he's got some great matchups. Like I said, I think he's getting a little tricky with the T Higgins start. I mean, I know T Higgins has been great, but I think that you got to start your studs. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I know he's projected to lose by 10, but I think Big Ben's bathroom has got this one because Breeze Knees kind of has some tough matchups. So,
Yeah.
I mean, except for, Carson Wentz is looking good. Like Zeke against Philadelphia, that's a tough matchup. He's got Mike Davis against Atlanta, who will be good. So his quarterback and one running back will be good. Everybody else kind of has a tough matchup. So
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking here. So
although I think that Rams D is going to be good because Miami's starting Tua this week, so I don't think they're going to be as good as they were with Ryan Fitzpatrick.
you don't think so? Even I think Fitzmagic is pretty good.
He was playing great.
Yeah, I'm surprised that they pulled him, to be honest with you.
They said that this was always the plan, and I don't know if I believe them, but that's what they said. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting move, especially with how well he's been playing, and I don't think it's a bad idea to let your rookie, even if you drafted him, like Aaron Rodgers sat on the bench for 3 years. Like he did not play his first year in the league, So I don't think it's necessary to throw your quarterback in the fire year one. And I think that's kind of been the downfall of like Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold and like all these quarterbacks who have been having a rough time because they haven't had time to develop in the league before they started.
Yeah, and also he's facing a tough front seven in Aaron Donald and the gang.
Yeah. So that's kind of a rough game to start with. So I think that defense is going to do well, but I think that Big Ben's bathroom's got this.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. Last matchup, we got my tight end Ertzwin Eifert versus Mixon Mack. So we got Matt Ryan versus Carolina. So that's going to be, we'll see how that starts off tonight. And tonight might be a turning point or like it might be interesting to see how players come out of this week and how you maybe adjust your rosters based on who did what going into the weekend. So we got Derrick Henry versus Cincinnati. That's a great matchup. Chris Carson might not be playing. So let's see if he can fill in. Does he have another running back? Oh, no. Aaron does not have another. He has James White. He might fill in for Chris Carson.
Yikes.
Yeah, this is the problem with Aaron's team. He doesn't have any sort of depth whatsoever. So his starting roster is like really good. And they got some great matchups, but he doesn't have anybody to fill in.
Yeah, he's got such a deep, such a nice squad with Crowder as a flex. He's been pretty good when he's played.
Mm-hmm.
Travis Kelce, I think, is gonna have a nice rebound game after last weekend, and then I just think that the 49ers game versus Seattle is gonna kind of be like a shootout. So I wouldn't start 49ers defense, to be honest with you, because
they haven't been as great recently. So
but
I don't know.
But Neal starting the Giants defense is not good as well.
Yeah, he'll probably switch him out before the weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But I think that even with throwing in James White and assuming Jamison Crowder plays, I don't know if Jamison Crowder I don't know. He was in limited practice on Thursday, so I don't know if he's going to play. But if he plays, I think that even with James White in the lineup, I think my tight end Ertz when Eifert is going to win this one because Lamar Jackson's playing Pittsburgh, and James Conner is playing Baltimore. Like they're playing each other, and those defenses both are amazing. So having your running back one and your quarterback having against a really tough matchup I think that's going to be rough.
Yeah, I don't know. It just depends on what Lamar shows up. I mean, Lamar hasn't been as good as he was last year, and it's kind of been a disappointment, to be honest with you. He's not had a game over. Well, he had a game over 28, but besides that, it's been pretty pedestrian. It's just been
Yeah. Well, and Joe Mixon down there, I don't think he's going to play this week. He didn't practice today again. He's having foot injury foot problems. So I don't think he's going to play. So if he fills in, I guess he's got Gio though to fill in. So if he needs to.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't like his running or wide receiving play here. He doesn't have a lot of depth in the wide. Well, he's been injured. Jeez. Wow, yeah. Neil. I feel bad for you, Neil. He just doesn't have anybody on the. They both don't have anybody exciting on the bench that could help them out besides Bernard. Right.
So I think I've got my tight end Ertz for this week.
I think I'm going to go bold here, and I'm going to say somebody on Neil's team is going to go off, but I don't know who, and I'm going to take opposite of you and go Mix and Mac winning here.
All right.
Also, it would also help me out because it would peg Aaron down, and I wouldn't have to worry about him in the playoff position.
Yeah. No, that's true. Then now we got to start worrying about that. It's week 8 now, so we got to start worrying about the playoffs and how those are finishing up, or how those are coming up, I should say. And try to figure out our positioning, battling getting into the playoffs. But it's good that we've got 6 playoff spots this year, so it gives it a little bit of leeway. Let's a couple more teams sneak in there and have an opportunity in the postseason to really light it up. So
yeah, and it creates a lot of randomness. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So yeah, that was your projections for this week. So Brandon, how do you feel?
Well, it's I feel very confident in my team right now. We're doing pretty well, but we have some stiff competition in the East. We've been beating you guys up in the West.
I know. Yeah, we've had a rough time. This last week we lost all of our games. So so yeah, we'll have to step it up here. I think the West will rebound. But yeah, we'll I mean, that's just better for me because I know my team is good. I just had, a Cam Newton debacle last week. So I think my team will turn it around and we'll see how it goes going forward. But you made it through this episode, Brandon. I thought you said that you were not a good podcaster, but you did a fantastic job.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I did some research a little bit and had some things pulled up, and had to know my stuff before going in here.
Hey, that's what it's all about. So,
yes.
Well, I appreciate you joining me this week, and good luck this week. We'll see how this week turns out. The rest of you guys, good luck as well. And we'll see you guys next week on the Gooshbagz Fantasy Football League podcast. But for now, I'll see you later.